Welcome to the College Football Bros. I'm Michael Newman.
I'm Ryan Newman.
And I'm Trey Newman.
All right, on today's episode, we are covering the Big 12, and we'll just start with our general thoughts on the conference. Ryan, what are you looking at 2023?
Well, I'm wishing OU and Texas would stay. It's going to be weird with them gone, but it's a darn good conference this year. It's just really interesting just because, it's with those two teams still in it, it's just a weird transition year where, I don't know, it's still very, very good, but this is the only year it'll ever look like this. So this is funky how it's kind of shaken out. But I don't know, the overall, there's just so many intriguing things in this conference that I'm like, I'm really interested to see how it pans out for so many different teams. And I got a list here. I'm going to go through it, and you guys are going to be like, okay, all right, fine. But, I'm doing it. K-State, to me, maybe way up there as far as intriguing. It's just they lose Deuce Vaughn. They lose Adrian Martinez. Will Howard replaced Martinez a lot and did really well. But can he be the man for a full year? They got a tough schedule, Big 12-wise. Can they keep it up? And can Chris Kleiman just continue what he's been doing there in Manhattan? If he does, with this tougher schedule, kind of some question marks, and they do well again, I'm just never doubting that guy again. Kleiman's just the man, right? Dave Aranda at Baylor, he needs to bounce back. They won the Big 12, and then it's supposed to be pretty good. Down year, okay. Can he just maintain it? Can he get to Baylor to reload instead of just rebuild at that point? Joey McGuire, Texas Tech, is he kind of Texas Tech's savior? Is he going to be able to lead them to the new Big 12 kind of promised land? Who's going to be the top dog there? Things are looking pretty good there. They're supposed to be pretty good, and recruiting's going well. A lot of excitement. See the guy. Oklahoma State, is Gundy's tenure there kind of finally starting to come to an end, kind of like Gary Patterson's at TCU did? Is it kind of gets that kind of feel to me, at least a little bit right now? Can Kansas stay relevant?
The weird thing with them is, sorry to interrupt, but the weird thing with them is they have such an easy schedule, or a favorable schedule relatively, that, if they surprise, then the opportunity's there. But
okay. Yeah. No. All right. That's fair. They'll be interesting. So if they really don't do well, then it's very not
bad.
Good. Yeah. Kansas, man, can they stay relevant? Can Leipold keep them going? I mean, last year they started hot, faded down the stretch. But can they just rebuild, and or reload at least? Can they just keep it going? I don't know. Was last year a little bit of a one-hit wonder? There's a lot of newbies. Obviously, Cincinnati, what are they going to do? Without Luke Fickell. Luke Fickell's gone. They've been so good for a while now, and their offense loses a lot. Can the defense keep it going? Who knows? Hogo at Houston. I mean, is he gone after this year? If they don't do well, and they're not supposed to be that great, is he gone? Neil Brown, West Virginia, is this finally his last year? It's got to be if he doesn't do well, because they just haven't been good. So I don't know. There's other team. I mean, you guys will mention them, but I'm just like, dang.
No, I agree,
it's
right?
An interesting conference.
Yeah, I mean, and to me, maybe the most interesting team in the country, you didn't even, kind of go through there because maybe it's obvious, is Texas.
Oh yeah.
Just with all they have returning, especially offensively, they just have the potential to be extremely good. But of course, that's, every year say that. You could say that every year, but this year it really feels like it. And Quinn Ewers is maybe the most intriguing player. Is he going to take that big leap forward? You would expect him to take somewhat of a jump forward at the very least here in year 2 under Sark's offense. And, last year was basically like a true freshman year for him. So yeah, I'm intrigued to see what they do. And yeah, of the 4 new teams, really only UCF is the one I'm expecting much from, but who knows?
Yeah. No, Ryan, I totally agree with you. There's just so many storylines that I'm looking forward to seeing play out.
Yeah.
Because it's been a very unpredictable conference. I mean, 2 years ago, Baylor, Oklahoma State played in the title game. Last year, TCU, Kansas State. No one really would have guessed, obviously, those 4 of those years. And then another team, just for the sake of throwing them in there, they had a down year last year. Iowa State. Can they bounce back? Not predicted to do a whole lot, but I mean,
new quarterback.
Right. And they had been propped up the last couple of years. They had some good sustained success, but
Campbell should have bounced.
We'll see if Campbell can re-rally the troops there.
All right. Well, let's get to our surprise teams. And for me, this was an easy choice. I'm going to go with Texas Tech. I'm expecting some big improvement from the offense, just year 2 under Zach Kittley. And If Tyler Shuck can stay healthy full season, of course, that would help. But even if he doesn't, at least Baron Morton, who they like, is maybe more ready this year to take over the reins if he has to. And then the defense does take some hits. Tyree Wilson, of course, being the biggest one, but they should still be solid. I like Tim DeRuyter on that side of the ball, so it wouldn't shock me to see Texas Tech make a run to the Big 12 title, kind of like TCU did last year.
Yeah. Okay. My surprise team is going to be UCF, Central Florida. Obviously, one of the new guys. They were playing at a high level last year. I think they were 8-2 at one point. Then Plumlee, their quarterback, got a little banged up. They kind of faltered down the stretch. And Malzahn, like, I haven't been super high of him in recent years, but I loved him, obviously, kind of in those early Auburn days. But he's bringing in a lot of new transfers. Their defense returns a lot of production. The defensive line's full of a lot of veterans. Their linebacker, Jason Jeremy, he had 129 tackles last year, tackle machine. And I like Plumlee. He's obviously very athletic. He played baseball, 11 rushing touchdowns, 14 passing touchdowns, ran for over 800 yards, so they kind of can use him as a running back as well. And they avoid Texas and TCU on the schedule.
Okay. Yeah, I can buy that. I'm with you there. Actually, I like both yours. I can see in both of them. I'm going to go BYU. I guess I'll go even a little further down as far as teams that they're not expected a whole lot of. But, man, I don't know. BYU, they got a decent amount of production coming back. Yeah, they lose their starting quarterback, Jaron Hall. He's off to the NFL. Boy, he hasn't not looked good in the preseason of NFL. If you guys have looked, he looked horrible.
Really?
But yeah, but he's being replaced by Keaton Slovis, the former USC/Pitt quarterback. So, I think Slovis is actually going to have a decent year. I think he'll probably do as well as he has ever since like his first year at USC. BYU has got a lot of talent on the offensive side of the ball, especially up front on the O-line. They got some relatively big time transfers up there, guys with a lot of starts, quality players. So if they can kind of gel quickly on the O-line, then I think the offense could be pretty darn good. I like the receiving core. I like the tight ends led by Isaac Rex. He's pretty good, darn good. So I don't know. They won 8 games last year. They're a solid team, and they don't schedule patsies. I don't know, they weren't in the Big 12 or anything, but they had a decent schedule last year and beat some good teams. But they had a lot of injuries, especially on defense. So if they can just be relatively healthy this year, get a little better on the defensive side, I can see this team certainly making a bowl game and maybe 7-ish games. So I'm going to say BYU.
Yeah, Satake, he kind of zigs and zags. You don't quite know
with BYU. Yeah,
I know for some reason I'm still like not sold on Satake. I know he's had some really good years, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm just somehow still not sold. All right, how about the disappointing teams? Trey, why don't you get us started?
All right, well, I'm going to say Kansas. They were darlings last year. Made a bowl game against Arkansas, nearly won the Liberty Bowl, lost in triple overtime. Jalen Daniels, electric. I love watching him. One of my favorite players to watch. Leipold has already done more than what we thought, but I think I think the true pundits out there, I think, realize they're not supposed to be great. But I think there's this buzz with kind of how they overachieved last year. They just released renderings of the new football stadium. They're investing this money in the program. I just feel like there's some hype that maybe isn't warranted for this year. I mean, I guess, what are your expectations in your mind?
Make a bowl game again is pretty amazing.
Right. But I just think the odds are stacked against them this year if their defense doesn't make strides. It was near the bottom of the country last year, not anticipated to make a dramatic jump this year. When you look at SP Plus, they're 14th out of 14 in the Big 12. And if you kind of use SP Plus as a barometer, they'd only be favored in 2 games right now. About 6 wins is their over-under. You're looking at their schedule, it kind of makes sense, but I'm just not expecting a ton from them this season.
Yeah, I like that one.
Sorry to be a hater.
No, yeah. I agree. They need some amazingly electric play from the quarterback position again to, I think, kind of get to a bowl game, but maybe they'll get it. All right, I'm going to go TCU here. Maybe a little easy of a pick compared to what they did last year, of course, national title game. I mean, they ain't doing that, right? No way.
Bold call.
Is it? I don't know. I'm not sure, Mike. I feel like it's a pretty easy call.
Spicy.
Yeah. All right. So TCU though, they were 9-1 in games decided by 10 points or less last year. I mean, they just won everything that was close, and one was a double overtime game. They had some crazy moments, as we all remember. But so fortunate year. It was cool to see. But they lose their stud quarterback, Max Duggan. I know he didn't start the year as the QB, and Morris did, and now he's going to be take over. But
Imagine how much better he is than Doug.
yeah, exactly. I just, it's just one of those situations where like, there's no way Morris is going to replicate what Duggan did. There's just ain't no way, bro. Yeah, and they lose a bunch of other starters on offense too. So if they were bringing everybody back and that was the only thing, Duggan to Morris, I'd be like, okay, maybe they could be still pretty good. But I mean, it is Sonny Dykes, so they'll have a decent offense, but
yeah,
they'll take a step back. And they do have a decent defense. I think they'll still be all right. But I don't know. With that offense taking a regression, in my opinion, I just don't think the defense will perform as well. And I don't think they're going to be that good.
Okay. I mean, I still think they'll be pretty good. Obviously not national title good, but my disappointing team is, I'll go with Baylor. I mean, this is kind of a tough pick. I don't think there's many bad, any teams in the middle that I really think are gonna falter. But if I had to choose one, it would be Baylor, just because they lose a lot in the trenches, both sides of the ball, especially on the offensive line. So I think that could affect Blake Shapen's play. And their defense took a huge step back last year. So that's kind of a side you're looking to make a leap back forward. And I don't know, they lose 5 of their top 7 players in the secondary. That's always an important thing when projecting forward. So I could see another 6-6 season and injury here or there, and maybe they're out of a bowl.
Yeah, I could see that.
But all right, time to get to championship picks. I'm interested to see who we're all picking here. If we're all going to have the same pick, what do you think, Ryan?
I'm saying it's going to be Texas versus OU, so I am going kind of chalky here in this conference. I like to be a little bold sometimes, but I don't know.
You do. Usually, you're. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting one surprise here for you.
I know. I don't know. I feel like these two teams are going to be the best this year. I really do. Texas just feels like they have the talent across the board this year to truly do it, to finally like put it together and win the conference. When I look at their team, I don't know. I just can't point at a position group that's like, and just say like, hey, that's a kind of a weak point. Like, I feel like every spot is actually pretty darn good. Maybe the best in the conference at every spot. So, I mean, and last year we all know they were really bad in close games. That was a pretty darn good team. They just went 2-5 in those close ones, almost beat Bama. So, if they managed to just win a couple of those close games, they win 10 games, and all of a sudden, stories a little different about their year. That was a good team. So much talent on offense. I know they lose Bijan Robinson, but the offensive line, super talented, ton of returning starts on that line. Their wide receivers is just stacked. Running backs still really good. O-line. So it's just comes down to Ewers. Like, how good is he going to be?
Yeah.
How good can he get? And if he's great, then, oh boy, like this is going to be amazing offense. He's going to get at least a little better, but so yeah, I really like them. And OU, I'll kind of let you guys touch on them. I'm sure one of you at least pick them, but they weren't bad last year. They had some injury, unfortunate stuff at the beginning of the year, and they were terrible in close games as well. But
yeah,
overall, I think Texas is the best team, so I'm going to actually pick them to beat OU in the title game.
I have the same picks. I'm going chalk here. Texas over OU. I thought hard about Texas Tech, but
yeah,
I just couldn't quite get there. I'll say OU makes it. Like you said, they weren't as bad as their record last year. They were 0-5 in one-score games last season. So
four of those were by 3 points.
There you go. They had a pretty favorable, or they do have a pretty favorable conference schedule as well. And just, I mean, Jeff Lebby with Dylan Gabriel, like as long as Gabriel's healthy, offense.
It was the first year of a new staff.
Yeah. Offense should be very good. Gabriel is arguably the best quarterback in the conference. And then defensively, they need to take a big step forward. And I guess you'd expect that year 2 of Brent Venables, and they brought in some good transfers.
A lot of transfers.
They did, yeah. Very good transfer haul overall, both sides of the ball, really. So, Yeah, but I have them going down to Texas. I mean, you made all the points for Texas. I just think this is kind of the year for them to win it.
Yeah, especially since we saw last year that their defense improved.
Yeah.
Like, that was the question kind of going into last year. Their defense sucked, but that it really improved, and it should be good this year. And I love Worthy and Nair, receiver. But so I'm with you guys.
Whittington.
We're all taking Texas. We have Texas winning it all. But I wanted to be a little different. I'm actually going to say they beat Kansas State.
Okay.
I just,
Wow.
I don't know.
Kleiman would be.
I'm just,
freaking
it's a little
man,
surprised. I'm aware. I just think
It's
Kleiman
not that
has
surprising.
built,
I mean, yeah.
he's
I mean, it's a
built-
tough schedule, and they lose. I mean, I think it'd be a.
he built like a system, a culture.
Yeah.
I think Will Howard's pretty good. I mean, he kickstarted their offense more last year. They do lose some production on defense, but they have two very highly productive DNs, Duke and Mott. And their SP plus projections in terms of defense doesn't actually see much of a regression. They've just got a program there that's just, they just do it. So I mean, a little bit. I just wanted to be a little bold there.
That would be impressive. I mean, I know they're not supposed to be bad. I know they're supposed to be pretty decent, but it's just like, man, it's hard.
They're
So hard
not
to do at
flashy.
K-State, and
They're
they don't
very
recruit all that
disciplined.
great. Yeah,
I
I
know.
just
Do it.
I just have to
They
give so much.
won
credit
it
to
all last
Kleiman.
year. But we'll see.
I mean,
see what
maybe
happens.
Maybe Nebraska should have gone for Kleiman.
Well, you could do a lot worse than Chris Kleiman, that's for sure.
Yep.
Okay, well, that'll do it for this episode of the College Football Bros. Be sure, as always, we'd appreciate anyone that subscribes to our Patreon, patreon.com/collegefootballbros. And we'll see you next episode to break down the Big Ten.